And welcome back to Who Would Win. Today's Who Would Win comes to us from Corin O'Keefe, who asked the question, who is the biggest bad bald man in their respective universe? Well, obviously it's not Tien. It's actually Krillin is stronger than Tien, as we know. But Tien versus Saitama. I got a little flack and pushback last time when I did Saitama versus a bald member of Dragon Ball, in that case Krillin. And to be fair, I kind of downplayed Krillin a little bit to a degree. I don't know if I still stand by that video in terms of what I said at the time, but either way, opinions can change. So Saitama, we know Saitama. He's the guy who broke his limiter, and therefore he's the One Punch Man. He's so strong he can't control his power a lot of the time. The strongest feats we've seen, and impressive feats we've seen, is from Saitama. He can outpace individuals whose specialty is hypersonic speed. He was blasted from the planet surface, well, not quite the planet surface, but more or less from the planet surface into orbit, cratering the moon, and then jumped back on his own power, landing back on Boros' ship just fine, although he did have to hold his breath. The man blasted apart a meteor that would annihilate the city. Pardon me. He has one-shotted the killer centipede. I can't remember the centipede monster. He has one-punched pretty much all of these individuals. He can take pretty much all the damage in the world, at least by his universe's standards. And one of the most impressive feats we actually saw was, again, I can't remember the actual name. I think it was Blast. Someone. He was kind of trapped in, I guess, a sort of different spatial awareness area. Like, they're not necessarily a dimension, but different pocket of dimension. And he just kind of moved his hand and broke out of it, something others could not do. So he kind of was able to bust out of an extra spatial area. Tien, however, he's not dumb, but he's kind of just simple. Even though his abilities are physical, he's not actually an expert martial artist or anything like that. And he can be outsmarted. Plus, he's not like the strongest individual in all of cinema or history. You put him up against like Thanos with the Infinity Stones. Put him up against Thanos, I doubt he'd win. Put him against like the Infinity Stones or Darkseid, yeah, he'd lose. I'm using very powerful examples, but the point is he's not the strongest individual there is, period. Tien is a human Triclops hybrid. He actually is a descendant of like an alien race, hence why he's got the third eye. In terms of like hierarchy of humans on the planet, he is. See, here's the problem. You can either look at the manga, which I don't usually because it's very different than the anime, or you look at the anime. If you look at the anime, I don't even think he was stronger than Roshi. As we learned, Roshi kept training and actually beat Tien in that episode where he was basically like under mind control. But for all intent and purposes, Tien's probably the second strongest human on the planet. I'll make that because Roshi's full power can only be used for limited periods of time. That's, I think, where you can make that argument. But he is basically the second strongest human on the planet, just behind Krillin. The writers have even confirmed Krillin's the strongest human. But he's a very competent martial artist. He can fly, fire the ki blast. His specialty techniques are the solar flare, which you create a blinding light to blind someone, obviously, and that can work as a great diversion. The multiform technique, where he creates multiple copies of himself. Physical base, not even shadow clones, like hit them, they go away. No, physical copies. Eventually they can disappear. But the problem is that your power is cut down by a multiplier of whatever the amount of clones are. And the Shingiko. Shingiko! Ha! Oh man, still one of the most badass. That was Tien's that was his pinnacle moment of a character where he stalled Semi-Perfect Cell out. Shingiko! Or Giko! So yeah, where he basically just focuses in with his hands, making a triangle that turns into a square and fires a super powerful, just concentrated blast of power down of energy at an opponent. Which, if it hadn't been Perfect Cell, he might have actually really been able to put a staller on just standard Cell, Imperfect Cell, because if he could delay Semi-Perfect Cell that long, I wonder how much damage he could have done to just Cell, like Imperfect Cell. Either way. He also knows other techniques. He knows the Kamehameha wave. Now, again, he knows how to fly. I think it's all of his main techniques. And like I said, he knows the Kamehameha wave. But he's still a skilled martial artist. He never actually stopped training either. So he never actually got weaker. Although he never looked quite as cool as he did in the Cell arc. Like that green outfit he has got on, that's a good looking outfit on him. Sadly, his super outfit just is a Chinese, martial artist outfit. It's all right. So who would win in a fight here? Well, I guess the thing is, in terms of if we're looking at just power level, Tien has the power to destroy a planet. Because if Vegeta's father, who had a power level around 11,000, if I'm not mistaken, no, 10,000. Power level around 10,000, could destroy multiple planets on his own with his own power alone. Vegeta could blast the planet apart with 18,000. Then Tien, whose power has to be in the millions at this point, can easily blow up a planet. He must easily have that power. Even Yamcha has that power. Roshi, we know for a fact, has that power because he blew up the moon, and that was in Dragon Ball. So yeah, Tien's got to have that level of power. So he's definitely a planet buster. Anything beyond that, I think you're now just trying to stretch his power, but he's definitely a planet buster if he needed to be. But the problem for him against Saitama that I see, and the same problem I actually saw with Krillin, is does he actually have the power to do anything to Saitama? Because Boros was at minimum a planet raiser. Basically, I mean, he could literally destroy all life on the planet, but not necessarily destroy the planet itself. But it all depends on the interpretation you go with. Because some interpretations of that story say that he could destroy the planet. He was a planet buster. And Saitama just boomed his strongest attack like that. That was him going all out. And Saitama, who wasn't going all out, Boros even called him out on it, is nope, boom, blasted in half. So let's also not forget that's Saitama's. If Saitama has to match the power and then overpower the boss, and his fist was fine. He didn't even get singed. Maybe he had a little smoke coming off it, but he was fine. So the issue isn't the fact that Tien isn't a strong character. He certainly is for a fight like this, and he's a better fighter and could probably take a punch. As a Z fighter, all the stuff we see in Dragon Ball, he could certainly take a hit from Saitama. But Saitama literally punches when he wants to get serious with the power to blow up a planet. Just because you have the power to blow up a planet, and I think a good character I like to use as an example of this is Inoki from Naruto. Just because you have massive power, attack potency, doesn't mean you have to defense the match. Inoki, with the dust release, had serious offense capabilities. He was a legitimate beast offensively. But he was so old and frail that he could not take hits. Tien isn't quite the same example, but he isn't. I don't see Tien as someone who could take a planet-busting hit to the face and just shake it off. That's not to say he might not be able to survive it. But I don't think he could. It's not boom, that all you got. No, it's Saitama cracks him. He goes flying, maybe bursts through some freaking hills and stuff like that. And he's struggling to get back up. This is the same problem I had, I think, and I brought up with Krillin. Now, Krillin, I immediately said, I think he's a city buster. I'm no. And in hindsight, I'm what the hell was I talking about? Of course he was a planet buster. But I don't know if he has the power to do anything against Saitama. Even if the attack hits, even if Boris' Roaring Thunder Can, I can never remember the name of it. I think it's a Roaring Thunder Can or something like that. Even if Boris' attack had literally hit Saitama head on, from what we could tell, it probably wouldn't have done much. Might have done something, but it probably wouldn't have done much. And Tien is definitely in a Boros level of power. Boros is a very powerful individual. Certainly was probably the strongest individual we've seen so far in One Punch Man to date. But he's not, if you were to throw him into Dragon Ball, he's not like Goku or Vegeta or Piccolo, Gohan. He's none of those guys. He's not even Gohan or Goten or Trunks. He's just that we don't see anything from his level of power that suggests that he's that strong, because he had to use his strongest attack that would, in theory, destroy the planet to take on Saitama. Whereas Most of the Z fighters don't need their strongest attacks or their full power to destroy a planet. They just go, hey, I want to destroy that planet. Boom, I destroyed that planet. Beerus can only do it by tapping his damn finger. So unfortunately, Tien, I think, is definitely like in a Boros level area, a little lower, a little above. But because of that, I don't think he also lacks the regeneration Boros has too. That being said, I think he has a stronger durability, just because I think all the Dragon Ball characters I think are just a bit more durable than One Punch characters, minus the regeneration of Boros. But yeah, I think he could definitely get hits, and he could definitely move faster than than any character in One Punch. That's for certain. So Saitama is unfortunately, I think, going to have a harder time reacting to him than say like the hypersonic ninja guy. I can't even remember his name. Definitely faster than Genos, faster than Boros. So yeah, he probably can get some hits in, but Saitama I don't think is going to be budging. Eventually, it's just going to be Tien tiring out, and Saitama's like, "Oh, my turn? Okay." Boom. Maybe Tien can get up from one or two punches, but after that, it's just Tien's on the ground. Unfortunately, Tien's problem here is that he's just a low man on a totem pole in his own universe, and he's comparable to the high level tier characters of Saitama's universe, who we've seen Saitama completely whoop. So, for my money, and again, if I get pushback, Corin, if you disagree with me, it's all good, man. We're all friends here. Come on, let's have a civilized debate about it. And trust me, Corin, I know you're G, man. You're sweet. You're awesome. I love you, man. I love any one of my viewers, but you're great, Corin. Corin was the one I believe who Corin O'Keefe suggested I think the Krillin versus Saitama one, if I'm not mistaken, and did not agree with my assessment there. And look, in hindsight, I agree with your assessment. I do still think though Saitama would probably win, although Krillin does have like the Destructo Disc and stuff like that. So I mean, Tien could draw the fight out. He could blind Saitama because Saitama's not immune to that crap because he's still human. However, I just don't see Tien really dishing out enough firepower to really, do anything of any severe consequence to Saitama. Even if he fired a full power point blank Kamehameha, Saitama probably could just maybe he gets his clothes burnt off. Maybe he just how close survived re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere. I'll never know. Maybe he does cause some like singe and smoke on Saitama, who then proceeds to beat him. But unfortunately, in this case, I think Saitama is going to be the winner for anyone who's like rooting for Tien. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, you want us to review something, put the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. Hit that bell if you want to be notified. Like, comment, share, subscribe. I'll see you next time. Have a good one.